What's up, everybody? We are in August of 2025, and today I'm coming at you with a Prescott real estate market update. So, we're getting in the roller coaster. Get your harness on. This one's throwing us for a loop, so that's why I put the theme of today as get ready for the loop. So, make sure you got your shoulder harnesses on, clicked in, buckled in, and you are ready to go. So, let's just dive right into the stats because this is going to be a fun one. All right. We're kicking it off a little different this month. I used some AI to tell me what you, as the consumer, as the buyers, the sellers in the market, the data you're more interested in. So we're going to kick that off right here at the beginning. Some slides at the beginning, and then I'm going to get into the weeds after. The goal today is to try to keep it under 10 minutes. We are starting, right now. Let me keep an eye on the time and try to keep it under 10 minutes. I like to talk a lot, so yeah. Just be warned if you're your first time watching one of my videos, I get into the weeds sometimes. So anyways, let's kick it off. Prescott AZ median sales price. This is where it's throwing us for a loop right off the gate. Doesn't make sense, but this is the data. I'm just here to read it. So median sales price last month in July was $666,500. Yes, you heard that right. That is the highest July we have had since COVID, so since 2020. Actually, I went back 2019 on this chart because everything prior to 2020 was lower anyways. So anyways, yeah, the highest July for the median sales price that we have had. And man, that threw me for a loop, and that's why I kicked this off as the loop. The other things you need to know on this is that's an 8.3% year over year increase in the median sales price. That's a pretty good return on investment right there. And month over month, that's a 19.7% increase in sales price. So why did we get there? I don't know. And the charts after this are not going to support this sales price. So that is where the loop comes in and why you are buckled into the roller coaster right now. So without further ado, let's keep going. Sold to list percentage. So I like to look at this one because this one tells you as the buyer or seller what the average discount was on homes last month in July. So, and that was an average 2.5% off of the last list price. This is not the original list price that sellers were hoping to sell their home for. This is for what it was actually on the market for last versus what it sold for, which was a haircut of about 2.5%. If we take that against the median sales price, that comes out with an average discount of $16,000. You can do a lot with 16 grand. So I can think of some pretty sweet e-bikes to buy for 16 grand, or you could get some regular e-bikes. You probably get 3 of them for 16 grand. Anyways, I've digressed. So let's dive back in. So that is pretty much on trend with where we were. June was at 97.7. For the sold to list price percentage, which would have been a 2.3% discount. The month prior in May, 97.3, which would have put you at a 2.7% discount. So we're floating around that 2.5% off list price range. Pretty normal. Not seeing anything crazy there throwing us for any loops, right? Diving into the next set of data, we're looking at days on market. It is down. That breaks my brain again. So this is the second loop. So this is a loop-de-loop roller coaster we are on right now. So we are lower on days on market than we were last year, and we are lower than we were last month. So 2 days less on market compared to last year. So pretty much even with last year. And last month was at 74 and a half. And we broke below the 70 mark. So homes are not staying on market as long as they were. Homes for sale. This is another one that this is our third loop, right? Because what we've been seeing and what we've been feeling is like inventory is building more and more homes on market. And we finally plateaued in Prescott. So we were at 816 last month in June, and we are at 815 this month in July, which is still 140 more homes than were on the market last year. So I'm going to kind of pause here at this moment and explain why the first one threw me for a loop. Sales prices are up pretty significantly, like I said, month over month and year over year, but inventory is also up. This goes against the laws of supply and demand. So the laws of supply and demand that we learned, some of us learned in college if you were a business major, was that the more supply, if demand were to stay constant, which we'll get to demand, which is sales. Actually, sales is, I'll get to that shortly. But anyways, if demand with sales, which is demand staying constant, if supply increases, prices will decrease because there's more supply to choose from. That didn't happen. This loop is caught. This has thrown us for a loop and is breaking the laws of supply and demand right now. So it'll be very interesting to see where we go from here. But what you need to know is the record July for homes on market. If you are a buyer, great time to buy in Prescott. You got tons of houses to choose from. If you are a seller, you got a lot of competition on the market to sell against. So just be aware of that. Moving on. Months of inventory. This is something that we look at as real estate professionals to tell us what kind of a market we're in. The way you get months of inventory is you take the number of homes on the market that we just looked at and you divide it by the number of homes that sold in that month. So for July, we're flat pretty much month over month from June, which was at 6.96, and July we're at 6.98. So we're staying consistent, but we are still in a buyer's market. We are above this 6-month threshold. So new for August for my Prescott charts here, I added in a little green bar in the center, which is where we would love to be at. And just to recap that, 4 to 6 months of inventory is what the experts call a balanced market, or a market where we are in equilibrium. Every micro market and every price point is going to be different, but when you're just looking at a market as a whole, like we're looking at Prescott, all residential in Prescott, I'm not looking at the $1 million+ price range right here. If you have questions about that, my contact information is listed below. Get a hold of me directly. I can pull specific months of inventory for neighborhoods you're looking for or specific price points that you're interested in. So, but yeah, 4 to 6 months of inventory is the sweet spot. We are at 7 months. We are the 3rd month in a row of being in a buyer's market. Great news if you're a buyer. Not so great news if you're a seller. So, and then here's the home sold. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about demand. And demand did not stay consistent, which is another thing that's throwing me for a loop. I'm just referencing all these loops because I'm just imagining us being on a roller coaster, and it's like, typically on average, June to July is pretty flat on demand in 24. Last year, the blue line, it was flat. If we look at the white line, 2023, it actually dropped from June to July. 22 was pretty flat as well. 21 and 20 were our anomaly years, but even in 21, it was high, but it was still consistent month over month. But this month, 2025, is up significantly. 126 in June to 154 in July. That is even 24 more homes sold than last year. So demand is up, but supply is up. So where do we go from here? Time will only tell. Based on the charts and everything, it's flat from July to August. I would predict that we're going to be flat, but no one has a crystal ball. So anyways, that is our demand. It has been increasing month over month. Again, another loop. This is a very loopy roller coaster. This roller coaster would be at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It would not be the one at California Adventure. That one is too flat, and it only has one loop. But yeah, Six Flags Magic Mountain, we would be on one of those coasters right now. Just listed. So I like to look at this. This is a new chart that I added in a couple months ago. Is the ones that just listed, so just came on market, so we can see how many sellers are putting their homes on market month over month. June to July was pretty flat, so we're actually down a little bit from June down to 218. That is still 3 more than what was listed last year. So this is one piece of the data I like to look at, because if you take just listeds versus solds, right? That tells us where we're at, if we are having more homes come on market each month or less homes come on market each month, or if we're at equilibrium. So for all of you chart nerds out there like me, I created this chart because I wanted to see where we were at month over month for what I just talked about. I would call it a surplus right now, right? So month over month, we are at 64, which means we had 64 more homes come on the market than we had homes sold in Prescott in July. So, and I've kind of pulled this green bar here in the center. I pretty much did, I think it's somewhere between 7 and 8%. I was trying to keep it under 10%, but at a round number for market fluctuation, right? So I would say plus or minus 50 from break-even equilibrium is still going to be signs of a balanced market. So homes coming on, homes coming off, you're going to have some kind of a variation in that, right? But we get over the 50 mark, and I'm saying we're in a surplus. This whole year, we've been in a surplus. Look at this. Look at this data. Like, I mean, we're coming down, so the trend line is coming down from where we were. But in May, we had 168 more homes come on the market than we had buyers that bought homes. So that's a surplus of 168. This is not taking into consideration expireds, canceleds, and withdrawns. If you don't know what that means, expired means that a listing agreement with an agent for a seller that was on market expired, and they decided to relist it with another agent. It would go on here as a just listed rather than renew their listing agreement. So some of those we have, pump out and pump in, right? So it comes off the market and then goes right back on the market in a week or two with a different agent. You also have, that's an expired. You have canceled, which typically means a seller has decided, I don't want to sell anymore. I'm coming off the market. I'm out. I'll rent it out or I'll just stay in it for a while. Withdrawns, yeah, canceled and expires. And withdrawns is kind of the same thing, which means that you just decided that, hey, if I do sell it, I'll keep my agent, but we're withdrawing it. We're taking it off the market for this time. So again, I'm not considering those. All I am considering is just purely new homes on market minus the solds give us this data right here. So where are we going to go from here? Are we going to stay above the 50 mark? Or are we going to drop below? Being that we're in a surplus, we should see prices go down. But again, back to that loop, prices are up. That is it. I did not keep it under 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. If you're still hanging out with me today, my name is Brent Wofford. I am known as the AZ Rad Realtor here on YouTube, also on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you get social media, look up AZ Rad Realtor. You can find me, get to know me a little bit better. If you have any questions at all about the data in this video, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is listed below. I'd be happy to have a chat with you and, share my expertise or dive deeper in the numbers with you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That concludes my TED Talk for today. So I am a realtor. I'm a licensed realtor with Keller Williams, Arizona Realty. So if I didn't say that already. And yeah, I'm based out of Prescott, Arizona. Personally live here and am raising my family here. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining me today. And I will catch you all on the next one.